shooter, and he was able to go to Clemson. Then he played with the Baltimore Claws. All that was kind of as we were growing up. But Quentin was a mother, man. I'm telling you.
Let me ask you this then, Mark. What guy did you look at when you was coming up that you was like, oh, I like this game. I got to take a little bit and take a little bit out of this game and put it in my bag. Who's that guy for you?
Well, I mean, again, it would be Quentin Daly because of, at that time and juncture, he was like probably the most prominent player in my eyes, it's funny because we used to go to a lot of Dunbar games too. We used to see, Duke and Kosher play, those nights like that. But Quentin was the most explosive, and you try to get his athleticism, just his aggressiveness, assertiveness in the game, and I was at some of his game. I patterned my game after, in a sense, trying to score pretty much, But I mean, he was my kind of person I looked up to. Then there were a couple of others, you had, NC State with Wittenberg and Lowe and those guys. So you try to emulate some of those guys, but then you got to put it. You got to do it though. You can emulate anybody you want, but if you don't bring it to the court, don't matter. And like I said, I appreciate Eddie with the kudos and everything. I never thought people look up to you. Just keep battling, keep competing, and that's what I think made all of us great. We competed no matter who we were up against, even in practice. So that made all of us better.
Can y'all talk about practice a little bit and talk about legendary Coach Amatucci? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you this. I love the documentary. You know what I'm saying? I love the documentary, and I became even a bigger fan. I never even played with Coach Tucci, but however, I became a bigger fan for him. One thing, a good coach. I done played for a lot of coaches, and I only can name like maybe 3 that I can say that was, he was a good coach. And I'm old school. I like to, if I'm a player, I like you to ride me. Like, don't just tell me what I'm doing good. Let me know when I'm doing bad. I don't care how I come out, because I know that you. I know it's not personal. I was never that type player. However, y'all playing with Coach Amatucci, and I'm gonna tell you this. I came out in '99, so what you hear, he mean, he did that and third. But my friend Reggie, and I know that's your brother, Reggie Bryant, he loved him. All his players love him. You know what I'm saying? And then I said, you know what? Once I looked at that DVD, I said, I get it. I definitely get it. So can y'all speak on Coach Mark Amatucci just a little bit?
Coach Tooth, he was tough to play for, and the reason why is because he made us do things that we didn't want to do. Like in the documentary, man, it was times we had practices with no basketball. It was times where when we did have a basketball, he would cover the basket. So whether you shoot or not is not going to go in, but Coach Amatucci, he brings the best out of you, man. He brings the best. All he wants is you to give it 100%. Whether it's in a game or whether it's a practice, and just give it your all, and I love playing for him. I love my 3 years at Calvert Hall.
Yeah, I think what happens, guys, is people say they want to win, but they don't have a roadmap to get there. So you could say you want to come to Calvert Hall and you want to play with Vernon and Eddie and Mark and Pop and Daryl and Paul, excuse me, and change things, but how are you going to get there? And I think when you bring all those different personalities together and everybody can play, somebody's got to navigate this ship. And that was Tooch to say, I have the talent, but you guys got to do it my way. And if you're not willing to do it my way, then you can leave right now and I'll get somebody to replace you. So no matter how good we thought we were, he never let us believe that we were as good as everybody else said we were. We like Eddie said, we practiced with no balls. we didn't get water breaks. On days that they canceled school, Chooch would call everybody on days that the snow was too high and the buses wasn't running. Chooch said, I'm gonna practice at 1 o'clock. That'll give y'all a chance to walk over to the bus stop and catch the bus and get here. And we said, but Chooch, school is canceled, man. It's a blizzard outside. He said, your ass better be here at 1 o'clock.
I appreciated the game. I appreciated the game. I practiced really just as much as the games, truthfully, because Paul and I used to go at it because we were big guys, and so you know, Paul. One night he pissed me off. Though I was about to bang him. I was about to bang him because we would have this play where we run a cross pick. And every time I came across the middle, Paul would elbow me, hit me right in my chest. And I was like, I said, you do it one more time, right? We gonna fight. So he did it. He actually did it to me twice. First time he did it, I kind of let it go. Second time I did it, I was like, okay, he meant to do this, right? Yeah. I said, don't hit me. I said, don't elbow me again. So the third time, because we practiced in this play, and I got to come across to set the cross pick. So the third time, we just teed off on each other. He threw one, I threw one. I was like, we gonna fight.
Man, that's practice, man. Practice.
Yeah, we used to go at it.
I mean, fights we used to have and dust up, man, it was crazy. And then the funny thing about all of this, when the practice was over, we can go in the locker room and crack up on each other, laughing and you know, throwing the dozens and everything, and everybody be fine with it, man. That was the thing that I loved the most. You know, you can fight, you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, we were family, and hey, we all walk to the bus stop or get a ride or whatever, whether we mad, glad, happy or sad, whatever it is, man. And but like
our practices was like games, man.
Yeah, better than games, really.
Yeah, you know? Our practice was like a good game.
Yeah, practice allowed us, the big guys, to touch the ball.
Hey, you just said you practiced without a ball, did you?
Well, I tell folks all the time that I don't know another team where every player from your high school team has a cell phone number of each other, player 1 through 12, in their phones.
Yeah.
That, you know, like when Eddie wanted to put this together. When Eddie wanted to put this together, there's no calling 1 or 2 people saying, do you have, you know, Charles Sikorsky's phone number, or Ted Frick and Larry Fowler. These are guys that were number 10, 11, and 12 on our team. Everybody on our team is in everybody's cell phone right now, and you can look them up for yourself. And I don't know if that happens on any other team. You may have 1 or 2 or 3, or maybe even the starting 5 that are close to you, but to have every player in your phone, I don't think that happens on every squad.
And this is 45 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
That don't. I talk more to my junior college teammates, probably about 4. No, I'm telling a story. My Dunbar, but it's not all. It's about, I'm gonna say it's an all Metro group.
Yeah.
But we've been talking for years in one group. However, but you correct, as far as a team that stay connected like that. No, that's they're not, people not doing that.
Yeah.
Or they haven't done that. But you know what, though, people? Because I know what y'all are here for, and we about to get to it. So we about to talk about the basketball. We about to get into this Catholic League real quick. And before we get it done, ball, because I asked them to tip in, I went to 3 overtime. People, when I say they played in the best high school game ever, I'm putting it out there, ever. When I say, was it over 4,000 or 5,000? Like, I know it was sold out, and it was wrapped around. They played at Towson University, people.
Towson State capacity was 5,500, and they turned away 2,000. It was a sold out capacity of 5,500, and they turned away 2,000.
Now, let me ask y'all, because y'all the players. And that layup line, matter of fact, no, let's take it back to the locker room. We all know all of it. Everybody out there to see this. Like this is the show. People still talk about this game today.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. I was there as a spectator because that was the year before I came. So I didn't play in that game. So I wasn't there, but I wasn't in the game. I was there witnessing the game, but I wasn't in the game. I wasn't at Calvert Hall at the time. That was the year before I came.
We were sitting behind the bench.
Let me talk to Vernon first then, because he was a spectator first. He was a spectator. He was on that side. Looking as a spectator at that game, talk to us. It was a clown, man.
No, it was hype. I mean, the game was hype. I mean, that all the more. And at that time, I knew I was coming next year, the following year. And so the game was so hyped, and you just I knew as a spectator that that's like something that I wanted to be a part of. I mean, that was just something that you had to be a part of. And so I was excited, just to be in the crowd. I do have to admit, I left before. I didn't see the overtime.
Oh, you missed the overtime too?
I missed the overtime. At the time, what happened was the guys I was riding with, they were leaving, and unless I didn't have a ride back home. So
I did it.
I had to take off, and so when I got home, I found out they won, and I was kicking myself, and I was so mad at my homeboys for leaving because I didn't want to leave. I'm like, dude, we can't leave. We got to stay till the end. And he's like, man, I'm leaving. The game is over. They down. They ain't coming back. I was like, dude, I'm telling you, let's not leave. And so I was like, dude, they was like, you either come or you gonna get left. And so I said, all right, I'm gonna leave. I left. So I didn't get the chance to see the overtime, which was really, that was like the real part of that was the game, really. That was the game. So yeah, so I have to admit I didn't see the overtime part, but I saw highlights, and so it was I kicked myself to this very day because I didn't see the overtime.
I stayed overtime 2, overtime 3. When Turtle missed that tap and it rolled around and came out, Paul Kenny, thank you, Paul Kenny. Yeah. Man, I was sitting behind the bench watching. All I know is that Mark Wilson gave him 30. That's all I can tell you. Mark gave him 30.
LP, keep going up,
baby. When Wade brung OJ in, all I can tell you is that Pop took it from him 3 straight times.
Oh!
Not 2 times, 3 straight times. Yeah. Paul Edwards, LP is what we call him, gave him about 18 and 14 boards. Come on, man. So what's the difference if the following year Muggs, man, y'all get me hyped up.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is what I want, Eddie. This is what I want, Eddie.
What would have been the difference if Muggs was there? It wouldn't have been no difference. Wouldn't have been no difference. The only difference was Dwayne was already there, and now they got me and Vernon. Come on, man.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark and Paul. Go ahead.
But here's the thing. You gotta play with what you have, though.
Yeah.
We had Calvert Hall had their team and Dunbar had their team, and you can't play the what if game and all that kind of stuff. If Muggsy was there and Paul Kenny hadn't have died, Dwayne would have been coming off the bench. So what would have been the difference? You play with who you have at the time of the game. And the facts are we had a team and we beat them in triple overtime. Right. There are teams that we the following year when Vernon and Eddie came, we were #1 in the nation from the start. So we didn't ease our way up to #1 in the nation by other teams falling off. We were that team from game 1 and built our schedule around it. So if you wanted some of us, we went all the way out to Vegas. We played everybody on the schedule. We played the #2 team in the country, the #3 team in the country. We were #1 then. So we wasn't hiding from anybody.
Nope.
So to say, you know, we snuck somebody, we didn't. We were there, we took on all comers and we got it done. And we got it done one game at a time. We never sought to get to game 34. We started out to be 1-0. And then it's like, who's next? And then we were 2-0. Who's next? And then we were 3-0. So we never got too far ahead of ourselves. It's the next man up, and everybody got some. And the people that I run into now that tell me, well, if we would have played y'all, we would have beat y'all. Well, hell, we played 34 people on the schedule. they said the same thing. They said the same thing. You know, at some point you're going to lose. But the 34 that was on the schedule, they got it. That's all I can tell you.
Right.
Maybe y'all would have beat us. I don't know. But the 34 that were on the schedule didn't beat us. And they were nationally ranked teams.
All nationally ranked.
They say they would have beat us because they know it's never going to be played. So anybody hype themselves up. But like LP said, we played 34 teams, and 7 to 10 of them were top 10 teams in the country. So, you know, we didn't hide from anybody. And, you know, again, it was something where scheduling didn't allow us to play. But you can ask each and every one of us, did we want to play Dunbar? Hell yeah, we wanted to play Dunbar. You know, I mean, because, you know, really they were trying to get retaliate. We already beat them. You know, we
beat them.
Listen, we're going to go there. Listen, and they're going to kill me.
I will say this. This is what I will say, and this is what I'll say, because you know, people look at it from this perspective a lot of times. They look at it from the perspective of how many players on that team went on to play in the NBA.
Right.
So therefore, based on how many players went on that was on that team that went on to play in the NBA, you know, they would say, well, okay, well, they were the better team, so therefore they put that, and you know, they make that conclusion. But you have to play the game. You know, you have to play the game to know, because you know, at that time, you know, what they became, you know, a lot of us was very even when it came to, at that particular time, you know, when we was playing in high school, there was a lot of us was even. You talking about, you know, Mark, you know, Eddie already said it. To me, Mark was probably the #1 guard coming out of high school that year. We played Mackin, who had Johnny Dawkins, who was, you know, and everybody know who Johnny Dawkins is. He went on to play Duke. We played them. Did we play them twice?
Right.
Played it twice.
They were the second. Matter of fact, they were the second team that we played that year, because we played Spingarn the first game. Right. They had Michael Graham, the big fella, and also they had Sherman Douglas, I believe. But Michael Graham, you know, played with Georgetown, and so we beat them the first night, because when we played them in DC.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they looked at us walking in the gym. They like, man, Mike gonna kill y'all. Mike gonna kill y'all. So when we walked out of the gym, they was like, wait till next week. Johnny gonna get y'all. Johnny gonna get y'all. And so Mark Wilson, I thought, was and proved it, that he was better than Johnny at time in high school. He was the better player. I mean, and he demonstrated it each time that he outplayed Johnny every time we played them. And so, you know, those guys, I'm not, you know, like we said, we played with those guys. Right. You know, we played with those guys, we played against those guys. And so therefore, you know, and what they went on to do with their careers is great. You know, it's good to see. But still, you know, at that particular time, you know, you have to play the game. Refs going to make calls. The crowd's going to make, you know, waves and differences and the way the crowd goes and all of that type of stuff. You know, the lights are big. How people going to play in those type of situations, decisions going to be made. You got to play the game. So you can't sit there and say, oh, we would have just beat them, because those guys had like 5 guys who went on to be in the NBA. That you got to play the game. It doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree totally. Now, people, let's talk about the Hammer game, the game that y'all won that national championship. I want to know, like, leading up to the game, how y'all feel. I know y'all was pumped up, like, and take us through the game.
You want to jump on that, LP?
Yeah, I think Taz, you going again?
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
We
We
can,
can't see you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Go ahead, I can hear you. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, no, the Alhambra game, I mean, going into that game, the championship game anyway, against the Mather, the goal was just, again, it wasn't the #1 ranking. It never crossed our mind that, you know, if we lost this game, it would be devastating. It was to win that one game. And winning that one game made us undefeated national champs. But leading up to the game itself, it was just another game. We wanted to win that game. We felt like we should have been in the championship game the year before, but we lost because we think that Dunbar, that triple overtime game against Dunbar, took so much steam out of us that we let one get past us and didn't make it to the championship game against the Mather. So when Dunbar wanted that repeat game to see what they could do with us, it wasn't on our agenda to play Dunbar a second time, because at that point the goal was to beat the Mather. Now, if Dunbar wanted to play after we beat the Mather, we could have done that. But we had already checked off that box of beating Dunbar, but we had to go ahead and take care of the Mather because that was the goal, to beat the Mather and win the Alhambra. So that game never took place, but I think that game was probably more on Dunbar's mind than it was ours.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. You about to say something?
Yeah, I agree with Paul was saying about, our focus was just, one game at a time, but, we wanted to get to that Alhambra and ultimately win it, because that was the most prestigious Catholic League tournament in the country. So again, some of those teams were highly ranked, in their states and their respective schools and areas or whatever. But, the thing about that whole time there was just us knowing that if we played our game, we stuck together, we was going to win, and it wasn't going to be any denying. And unfortunately, Dwayne got hurt, but that just made it, even a little sweeter to win the game. But we was going to win it with him, without him. And that could have been any of us got injured. They all would have did the same, winning for Vernon, winning for LP, winning for Eddie, winning for Pop. But, our ultimate goal was to finish. We got that far, man. 34-0 was sweeter than 33-1.
Yeah.
So our togetherness and the way we played together, and I think cared for each other. And I'll share a quick story too, man, is I've been coaching, basketball, Division I basketball, even on the women's side for 22 years, man. And, the one thing I always share with these kids is that in order to be successful, you got to be good teammates. Because I always look at our teams when we all played at Calvert Hall, we were good teammates, man. We fought, we yelled, but at the end of the day, we were together. It was a family. We came together, and, Calvert Hall was just like a college. We spent 3-4 years together, and most of these kids, spend 3-4 years together. They used to anyway. Now it's so much in the transfer portal, but nevertheless, I stress to these kids, if you become great teammates, we're going to be successful on the court. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't understand what it takes, man. And like Paul said, we can look at our phones and, know that we have everybody's numbers. For the most part, we know about their family members and share birthdays or whatever it is. I ask a kid, hey, how many sisters do your teammate have? They have no idea. I don't know. They just know that, well, I was going to the mall and she left me, so now she got a chip on her shoulder. So those are small things that I use from back when I played with Calvert Hall, is the teammate portion. How to be great teammates, and once you become great teammates, you're gonna have a successful program.
Yeah. Hey, Taz, has Eddie shown you? Because I know, Eddie, you probably have it, the Calvert Hall Dunbar game.
You do?
I mean, not Dunbar, Calvert Hall DeMatha, Calvert Hall DeMatha.
Yeah, the math again.
You got that, Eddie?
yeah, yes,
You got the
yes, I
whole
do.
game? You got the whole game?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Let
got
him
to
take a look at that one.
Yeah,
Take a look at
Hey,
that.
Taz, I'm gonna do it tonight and hit me tomorrow.
All right. Listen,
You gotta see that game. You gotta see that game. You gotta see that one, because when you ask about how we felt when Dwayne went down. Dwayne never carried us. We never had anybody on our team to carry us. Everybody did what they had to do. So I think my thought anyway was, what more can I do? You know, and I think everybody else said, I got to step up my game. We were never relying on Dwayne to take us there anyway. And when we brought Vernon in, when Dwayne went out, we didn't miss anything. Vernon was just sitting there waiting to get in anyway. He had to come in. He had to warm up. And I can tell you this. I can tell you this firsthand, because I told Vernon not until years later, we had an event at Calvert Hall, and Vernon brought his sons with him. He had his family with him and his sons. And I said to his sons, you know who made me the best player that I am? It was your dad, because I knew that if I took any plays off or any time off, he was just licking his chops, waiting to take my minutes. And every day that I laced up them tennis shoes, I said, because if I don't bring it, he right there waiting. And it just so happened that game, Dwayne got hurt. Vernon, everybody else ran over there to Dwayne. Vernon ran to the scores table. He said, I got it from here.
Yeah.
He said, I got it from here. Don't worry.
But we were built for that, though. We actually built for that. And I thought, truthfully, Dwayne getting hurt changed the momentum of the game for us, because actually we stepped it up because
another
he
level.
was out. I think we took it up. We stepped it up because he went down. And so it really was a momentum changer for us. Not that it was a negative momentum changer. It actually made us play harder. And so, and we had moments like that throughout that season. There was moments throughout that season whereby, you know, there was a couple games, and like, it took some years. Like I don't really remember a lot of games, truthfully. I don't remember a lot of games. I remember more crazy stuff off the court than sometimes we did on the court. Like that Vegas trip was just totally crazy.
Hold on.
But a couple years later, I will say this. A couple years later.
Let me ask y'all something.
A couple years later, I was told, like, it was this team that we was playing. I think it was a semifinals in Vegas. I forget, it was a team out of, I think, LA, in California or something like that.
Banks was on that team. I know you're talking about,
Yeah, and so we were actually, we down one or something like that? They told me this story, and I was like, I didn't remember it. But we were down one. I think I got like I tied up somebody, and it was a jump ball. Yeah, it was jump ball. So then we ran like a jump ball play. And, you know, I think I tapped it to Wayne or something like that. Mark gets it, lays it up. We win by one. And so we went out and party.
Wow.
Hey, Vernon. I have a question, Chaz. Hey, Vernon.
Yeah.
You might not, you say you pretty much don't remember too much far as on the court, but I know you remember when you pent stuff on the backboard.
Oh yeah, that block. Yeah.
It wasn't the block. You pinned it.
Oh yeah.
And then snatched it off.
What game?
Yeah.
What game?
The Master.
Yeah. That's why I want Taz to see that game. I want him to see that game.
And guess what? And guess what? I'm doing it right now.
Okay. You're gonna enjoy that one. You'll enjoy that.
It's done.
Let me ask you something about this Vegas trip. And it's more so me talking to the big fella, right? Listen, big fellas, I'm a big fella. I know how they treat us. So when y'all was going through that, was it because y'all seen all the scouts out there and y'all like, hold up, we want to show our stuff too. So we gotta put that in the guard's head, like, y'all make sure y'all pass that ball, make sure, like, yeah, we get that right.
No, it really wasn't a scout thing. It really wasn't about the scouts. We really didn't play like that for really so much thinking about the scouts. We really wasn't like that. Right. But like I said, I was joking. And first of all, the documentary got it wrong because they tried to make me the one who started all of that. Actually, Paul is the one who started that. Paul is the instigator. He was the senior, and Paul was the instigator. So that they in the documentary, they tried to make it sound like it was me. That wasn't me. That was Paul. All right, just for the record. But the issue is that our guards, we were a fast break team. We were a fast break team. And when the ball went up, them brothers, Mark, Pop, Ed, they was out on the wing, ready to go. Ball. And you gotta throw it to them because they wide open. You gotta throw it to them because they wide open. And we was like, they would kind of let their man go. First of all, they wasn't playing defense. They would kind of let their man go by.
Oh, man.
They would kind of let their man go by. As soon as he go by, one of us will strip him, block it. They shoot it, miss it. We get it off. We run it. And so we throwing them outlets. And them brothers are just out there feasting. And so we was like, dude, can we get a touch? We was like, can we get a touch?
I don't remember that part, Eddie. You.
Am I wrong, Paul?
You're right.
Yeah, Paul, I can tell Paul. Paul said it. Hey, here's the kicker to it all, though. Like, I think too, they bring us in the room or whatever. Everybody, they were stating their case. We were like stating our case. So we go back to the room, right? And out in Vegas, man, you can call escorts and stuff, and they didn't even check you, nothing. They just like, okay, so I know LP did it.
Yeah.
LP called some strippers, man, and sent them to our room. And then we were like, what? We being all young and stuff. We ain't had no money to pay him, obviously, but the view was great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Send them away, but LP was part of that. So that was their get back at us, man. But you know what? Next day, we came out loving each other, balling. They probably got about 2 more touches, but nevertheless, we won that tournament, man. I mean, that was how it was, man. And what's funny, y'all? I just came back from Vegas Monday. My wife and I, we did our 30th anniversary and stayed out there.
Congratulations.
Funny
Happy anniversary, Mark.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. But I was telling my wife when we were out there playing we played on UNLV, we stayed on UNLV campus.
Mm-hmm.
And you can walk from UNLV campus straight across the sand and dirt or whatever, straight to Caesar's Palace. And she was like, what? And I'm like, no, I was saying none of this junk was here back in 1980, 82.
Yeah.
And she didn't believe it. I'm saying, yep. I said, we used to walk across this little dirt hill. We went to, we was mischievous kids, man.
Yeah.
Went to a gay bar. We was running around. We always used to talk to the people, Caesar Pals, about Sugar Ray Leonard. We had a great time out there being so young, but when it was time to ball, man, we were there. We support each other. We cared about each other, and we were great teammates, man. That's why we went 34-0, man. That was a special bond between all of us.
Mark, I was in Vegas not too long ago. I hadn't been to Vegas since we had been out there in high school.
Damn.
We're riding in from the airport to our hotel. That place that we stayed is still there.
Wow.
That little motel thing that we stayed in is still there because I saw it when we were riding in. I told my wife, I was like, babe, because it's still right outside of UNLV campus. Right. I'm like, babe, that's this little raggedy place right here is where we stayed when we was in Vegas. And so that's like one of the only places that's still there.
Wow.
Vegas was a great time.
Listen here, people. I can go on and on and on. Because I can really, honestly, I got all y'all information. And everything I do, I got all y'all information. I'm talking about when y'all went away to school. So if y'all ever want to come over here and talk again, the platform is always open for y'all. Now, before we get up off of here, y'all had the platform. Anything y'all like to share? Anything y'all want the people to know? Talk to us.
I just want to say that how you see us right now, Taz, is the way that we we have been for the last 40 plus years.
That's love.
And we still the same way as we was 40 plus years ago, man. And that's what I love about my family, my Calvert Hall family, and my brothers, man. I love them until eternity. I'll always be there for them, man. They always be there. We always be there for each other.
No doubt. No doubt.
That's how it is. The way you see us now is how it always is. Off camera, on camera. This is how we are, man.
Brothers for real. Listen, people. This ain't a facade. This is before we was push record. Like, this is a family for real. They brothers for real. They brothers for real. Now, anybody else got anything to say?
So I think what I want folks to know, one, to piggyback off of what Eddie said, we're all just a phone call away. You know, when Eddie made the call and said, this is what I want y'all to do, the only thing he had to do was put it together because the players were there. It's like, you know, with everybody having a different schedule, Mark is 2 hours behind everybody else. How are we going to do it? But whether we were going to do it or not was never a question, because when your brother calls, you know, you pick up and you answer and you do what he needs you to do. That being said, I just want to reference, and I'm thankful that we were able to have that Dunbar experience, the Calvert Hall experience, but more grateful that all the players and participants in that historical game have always remained friends and not let the rumblings of the streets and the east side and west side and Calvert Hall, Dunbar pull us apart from what we were, because like I said, we were one team in the fall when we played as Calvert Hall and Dunbar, and another team in the summer when we played Lafayette Courts versus Madison Buccaneers. And it's just been a blessing just to be a part of Baltimore basketball.
Yes.
And I think that's the key thing, because we came up in the era. The thing that I think about is that we came up in the era where we helped put Baltimore on the map again.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I really do, because I think, you know, there was other players like a Skip Wise and like some of the ones who went before us. But at that time, there's still like a negative stigma about Baltimore basketball.
Listen, talk, Bernie, because it was. They came.
I think
the whole thing came out with a whole paper with a whole big old article about Skip and
Harry Gibson
and Andrew, like.
Yeah,
and
so there was, you know, not to say it, you know, I'm not trying to be negative about those players, but there was to some degree a negative stigma in reference to Baltimore basketball and basketball life in Baltimore at that time. And so we were able, you know, coming through that time to kind of get together. I remember actually we played, Mark and Eddie and I played on a youth team that went up to Massachusetts, actually, that had Mark Wilson. Eddie was on that team. I was on that team. Muggsy Bogues was on that team. OJ was on that team. I think Jerry White was somebody else on that team, Dwayne. Yeah. And so we went up there and we was like playing like East Coast. It was like a almost like something similar.
Sound like the youth game.
And that's what it was, actually. And so when we went up there, you know, we had teams. There was teams from New York, New Jersey, D.C., Richmond, and all those kind of places. And when we went up there, and actually, you know, people was laughing at Muggs. they was laughing like, who is this little guy? And so we won that. We actually we swept that tournament. Actually, we played Washington the first game or something like that, and we kind of beat them by 40. And so we beat about 40. And so from there, from that moment on,
you try to say that real fast. Would you beat them by
40?
All right, this is for my DC guys. That's all.
And that was a team with they had V, the guy Valentine. Matter of fact, Wishicom's dad was on that team because we played a lot against each other. Carlton Valentine.
Carlton Valentine.
Yeah, Denzel Valentine's dad.
Yep, he's at Michigan State. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, and they had a couple of other kids on that team that was pretty good. And but from that time on, it seemed like, you know, there was like momentum going in Baltimore basketball. And then Mark and those guys went to 5-star and things like that and had some real good camps and those type of things. And the momentum just kept going along with those guys from Dunbar and stuff like that. It was like a lot of guys from Baltimore who was really kind of, and so when, by the time the stage was set for, you know, when it came down to that Dunbar game, that showdown game, it became like a really big, not only event for Baltimore City basketball within the city, but I think that even allowed even other people, because of some of the national exposure that those guys got at, you know, 5-star and other places, to really get basketball going, you know, putting Baltimore basketball out there in a new light. And I think that was I think that's one of the things that I take a lot of pride for playing in that particular era, that we were able, I think we were a part of that took basketball in Baltimore to another level.
And that's a fact. And the Catholic League too now.
Yeah.
And the Catholic League.
Yeah.
I don't know if Calvert Hall even won another national championship after that. However,
to be honest, we should have, but we that was Ed, Dwayne, and I. That was on our shoulders, and we didn't kind of we were still nationally ranked, but we didn't finish number one. But we were nationally ranked. We was actually in our senior and junior years, we were still in the top 10 nationally.
Here's the ranking. Our 10th grade year, we were ranked number 1. When Mark and Paul and them left, our junior year, we was ranked number 3. Our senior year, we was ranked number 7. So the whole 3 years me and Vernon was at Calvert Hall, we were ranked. We were ranked.
And that's tough in itself.
And we beat Dunbar again our junior, senior year. Let me say that part too.
Yeah, say it one more time. Say it one more time. Gotta tell them one more time.
Hey, let me say, that's when they had Chisholm, Mike Brown, Tree, and we beat them again. Am I right or wrong, Vernon?
Yeah, we right. You right there.
Yeah,
but
at the Towson Center. At the Towson Center.
But
let me ask you this.
But they got to say you too.
Huh?
Was Kirk Lee on your team at this time, or did he transfer?
Yeah, Kirk was playing with us out 1 year.
Kirk played.
Okay.
Kirk played with us 1 year.
Man, like I said, people, I'm a kid in the candy store in this. I probably was all over the place. However, people, I thank y'all again. Anytime y'all need this platform, anything y'all need me to do, anything y'all need me to promote, and tell people where can they find the DVD at anyway.
All they gotta do is get in touch with me.
Man.
They can get in touch with me. And I have your Alhambra championship ready, Taz.
He gonna enjoy that, Eddie.
Yeah,
yes, he is.
Yeah. Text us, Taz, as to what you think about it too, man. Give us your thoughts after you watch the game about 3-4 times.
I think he gone out. Taz.
He iced up again.
Yeah, I think he
There we go.
Hey, Taz.
Yeah.
They can get the documentary from me, and I have your Alhambra championship, and you really need to watch this.
Oh, I'm going to. You know I am.
Yeah, I got it ready for you. It's done.
Already. Now, people. Now I know Eddie not on Facebook or Twitter. So if you can't find Eddie, just get contact myself, and I'm gonna give all the information to Eddie. You know that.
Sure.
Okay.
Good. We good?
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right, good people. Coming live on Taz TV. Again, love.